Well, I mean, just welcome everyone. Obviously, it's been a big week. It's been lots of work behind the scenes getting mainnet up and particularly clearing out that initial queue, which is now cleared, which is awesome. So all the transactions that you see coming through are live transactions. That's involved a lot of work between the technical teams and Ava Cloud and getting all that happening. But what it's meant is that we did hit 3 million transactions in 3 weeks, which we're very proud of. And of course, that's also led to the 21 million juice being burnt, which was burnt earlier this morning. So very happy about that. And that's just the first one, right? Obviously, at the current run rate, we're going to be burning about 1 million juice. 7 million juice per week. So we'll continue to burn those, driving that scarcity up. So very happy and wanted to get you guys on a call to be able to answer some questions today about mainnet. I think this is the first AMA we've had since May went live, right? To answer some of those questions, and then also, have a bit of a celebration about burning that juice. And yeah, just thinking out loud, I reckon, maybe we'll have some other burn parties, but do it in Orange Worlds and, dog food the product a little bit and get in there and have some fun in some spaces. But yeah, so welcome everyone. And yeah, I think we can probably just jump straight into the questions.
Alrighty, so just for everyone's info, all the questions were either sent on the main chat, which is a general chat, or some other people actually send it over by DMs to me, George, or Salik. So we've compiled them, and as usual, we kind of segregated it based on the topic because, we don't want to go back to the same topic again. And we aligned it in that manner. But if we have time, we will take questions at the end of the whole segment. Just put it on general chat and I will read it out. I think we have one new one coming in that will be read out at the end. But yeah, if you have any questions later on, feel free to put it on general chat and we'll address it when we have the time. All right, so we'll kick it off with product and ecosystem development. And first question is availability of bridge for mainnet.
Yep. So that is an important one. We are definitely looking to get that up ASAP. That is we're dependent on some third parties that we're working with, some of our big partners. So they are working on it. The discussions are literally ongoing. There was a meeting today ongoing on that, and it is a priority. So work in progress. We'll announce dates as soon as we have that, but it's at the top of the list.
Righties. How much weight in terms of growth or transactional contribution is expected from digital worlds compared with overall Orange services, which generates transactions? What is the growth plan starting 2026? He actually listed A, community growth, B, liquidity growth, and C, single-sided staking.
Okay, sorry. So maybe we can break that down into a couple of questions. What percentage is worlds? So, I mean, it's hard to say a percentage because it really comes down to how people want to use it. So we see it as a super important tool. We have tried to help people to understand what the use cases are around worlds, and what we see it as is a really good way for creators to be able to showcase their products, create areas for people to come in and see their builds, and also for community building, things like AMAs. Like I was suggesting, we should be doing our own AMAs in there, and community catch-ups and things like that. So we see it as just one part of the ecosystem and an important tool. I think if you saw my article this week on Medium, I actually went through kind of a bit of a fictionalized timeline on how a creator could use it, and Worlds was there as part of that community building. But it's not like one part. There's other parts that obviously come into it as well. So that's in relation to the first one. And then, sorry, what was the second part of the question?
The second part is what is the annual growth plan starting 2026 for community growth, liquidity growth, and single-sided staking?
Okay, cool. So on community growth, we're currently working with, we're seeing that there's a couple of things that we're doing. One, we're working on some coal campaigns to try and get coals to, actually we're building it around the gaming flywheel. So that's an encouraging coals to come in and to bring their communities over to play games, similar like we do with the Weekend Rumble, but where coals will be rewarded and given a portion of the revenue that's made through people playing with Orange. So that's one thing we're working on. We've had a number of discussions with a number of coals about that. If you know any coals that might be interested in that, there's a deck floating around. We can share it with you, and keen to talk to any coals that are interested in getting involved in that. We're also Doing some major work with some large partners. Obviously, working with big partners gives us exposure to their audience. We've already seen some exposure that have come from our announcements with AvaCloud and also just recently with Pith. There's some other partner announcements coming up, and those will give us more eyeballs and exposure to their audiences and looking to do some cross promotion and those sort of things. And that's on the promotion side. On the single-sided staking, that one we're looking at the options around the LP pools. I think there's some other questions on that. We can get into that in a bit more detail. So yeah, that would be part of that, and we are looking at things like LP pools and also liquidity providers and things like that, because we do know that liquidity is a critically important thing. So there is a focus on looking to drive the strategies to build and increase the liquidity.
Up next is progress made with partner development for Orange Games and Digital Worlds. What is on the horizon for 2026?
So there's probably two major things going on with that. The coal campaign that I mentioned, so getting coal, we really, as we've discussed, we're a creator network. So what we've done is tried to build a foundation that allows people to come along and take their products and make money, right? That's ultimately what we're looking to do, is to provide those pathways for people to be able to vibe code or use AI to build things and then give them a pathway towards monetization and distribution. So with that in mind, we do have a number of creator games that are in queue for games that would have creators launching their games, similar to what you would have seen with Don't Bug Me and Luminor. There's more games coming through there with Goama, our partner on games, and that Cole influencer-based community engagement, which we're calling Creator League, which will allow Coles to be able to bring their audiences over and either play just with their own communities and have that as a Cole tournament that they would play with their own community. We're also looking at like community versus community type arrangements. So the platform does allow us to be able to do like tribe-based competitive tournaments. So you can have a couple of Coles on there at the same time, and then that creates that sort of friendly competitive nature between the different communities. So we're looking at a few strategies there, and that's all really around looking to build the audience. As you would have seen, we think games is good. We know we've got good games up there. We know that the people that come and play keep coming back to play more. But what we need is more people playing. So our strategies now is about increasing the number of those. On the world side, it's similar. It's about helping people understand and doing the education so people understand the use cases of worlds. It's not a secret that metaverse has struggled to find a use case, right? So the narrative around metaverse has kind of gone through a number of cycles, but we view that worlds as definitely a supporting product to those creators that are coming in and looking to distribute and publish their products. Worlds gives them an awesome way to be able to publish and like I mentioned earlier, create those spaces where people can come in, interact with other people, do community building events, and also showcase their products using the share features and the portals and things like that. So Worlds is a bit different, where there's a bit of an education phase and helping people to understand the best ways to use it. You would have seen that with some recent blog articles, and we'll continue to do that with some partnerships as we go, and just helping people build those use cases and finding the use cases that work well, so we can use those as examples and amplify those so that more people come along and can find value in Orange Worlds.
Sweet. Okay, we have a long question about Orange Games. One second. In regards to Orange Web 3's game section, the new UI has gotten better, but it is still barren, mostly due to the lack of total game availability at any given point. My idolized future of Orange Web 3 gaming is a gaming library / ecosystem where there are plenty of ways to use Orange, like Play Orange to upgrade X in a premium game that's technically free to play, but playing Orange to buy a game to play, etc. Maple Story Worlds is a decent example. I understand that we are taking baby steps right now, but is making an ecosystem of sorts by aggregating games something that is planned, or will the focus be solely on fast, accessible games as proof of concept?
Hey, great question, actually. That's a really good question. So I think it's important to note that the reason why there's only a few games up there at the moment, we run 3 tournaments per week. That's that's a feature, not a bug. There's a reason why we do that. So we actually have access to over 3,000 games. So we could, if we wanted to, publish hundreds of games up there. However, we know from our experience, and particularly our partner Goama has good experience in running these types of tournaments, that the number of tournaments that you run is directly correlated to the audience that you have. So given that our audience is, around sort of 30 to 50 at the moment, it doesn't make sense to have hundreds of tournaments, because then those tournaments just become ghost towns, right? There's just not enough people to support having multiple tournaments. So what you'll see is, as we go through these strategies to increase the traffic that are going to Orange Games and the number of players that are coming and playing and looking to earn, that we will increase. It's, as I said, directly correlated. So the line will move as the audience increases, the number of tournaments will increase, and also the duration of the tournaments will decrease. So at the moment we're running weekly tournaments. As we have a bigger audience, once we have tens of thousands of players, then we'll be running things like daily or even hourly tournaments, and we'll have lots of them just respawning every hour, every day, and that just requires the audience. So we'll move with that as the audience starts to increase, and we optimize that depending on the audience. And Goama has the tools and the algorithms to be able to make sure that that's as optimized as possible. So you'll see that as we bring in this audience, that'll start to change. On the second part, yes, 100%. So I don't know if the person who asked the question is aware, but there's actually a product called Orange Credits, which is currently on a vibe coding list. What that does is there's some templates there that allow people to embed credits into their app using Orange as a payment, and doing exactly those things that the questioner was asking. So, you can embed them into your game and then use Orange to be able to have those credits to, upsell and, buy extra things in game, or, buy a premium access to a level and those types of things. So that does exist. Again, there's probably education on that to help people to understand how they can best use that. And, we'll work with creators to get them to start to embed credits. We are working with a number of gaming studios at the moment who are looking to add these types of features. So from a technical perspective, that feature's there. And once they start embedding those Orange credits, that, of course, also increases utility of Orange. But those gaming studios will probably be the guinea pigs trying that out first, and then they'll become the use case that we can then amplify and encourage other creators to do it. And then on the distribution side, and that final part of the question about, will it just be hyper casual games like we have currently? The platform itself actually allows for what we call an arcade, or basically just game publishing, where you don't have to come in and play like a hyper casual tournament, but you can go in and view all the games available, and those games are a bit less restricted about the type of games that it can handle. That can be switched on once we have those games to publish. So once these game publishers come out and have those, we will have a section of the Orange Games portal that will, promote these games and have a centralized section where the audience is already there, because that's part of what we're looking to offer. So we build the audience using the hyper casual tournaments. We bring that audience in. The number of tournaments will increase, but also we add the extra section so that those players can view the other gaming options available with Orange credits and the types of things that were mentioned in the question, and we'll publish those in the arcade section. So yes, that's all there and technically possible. It's just working with the partners and the creators to make it happen.
Sounds good. And the last question for product and ecosystem development. As an aggregator, what has been the biggest pain point in onboarding devs into the ecosystem so far? Apart from what the team has done to combat the issue so far, UI simplification, vibe gem, etc., are there anything else planned to help with the onboarding?
Yeah, so I think, look, it's like anything. When you're looking to build an audience, it's getting the eyeballs, it's getting cut through, it's getting people aware. Awareness is, important in them to understand the value that they can get from building on Orange. So that's always a pain point with any new product. So we're looking to solve that through things like additional hackathons and additional motivations for people to come in. We've been talking with some partners, potential investors in these products. So, we can run like hackathon type events where people come and, build their solutions or, their games or their apps. And then we do demo days and provide them an opportunity to present that to people that are looking to invest. We're also looking at things like, directly like the Vibe Jam. And I think another one that's come up and this has really just come up through discussions with creators, and where the gaps currently sit is around education. You know, a lot of people, and it goes back to that incentive where um, the incentive of us, you know, looking to help these vibe coders go from vibe coding a game and taking it through to a real product, is education around how they do these things. You might have known that we ran the vibe camp around how to build a game, and we had, you know, expert game devs and people and game designers and things like that come in and give tips on how best to design a game that works and things that you should be aware of. We're now looking at putting another one of those together based on marketing and how people can market their activity and market their game and start to build up an audience and a community, and how they can best use the tools, things like Orange World, as I mentioned, and things like that to do that. So we're working to continue to do things like the Vibe Jam, continue to do more Vibe camps, and you know, also, as I mentioned, working with partners to get more eyeballs on us and start to build those audiences.
Perfect. Up next is user growth and metrics. Current progress of users onboarding rate per day is the 2.6 million users by end of year still valid?
Yeah, that's still in plan. As you know, obviously the mainnet and clearing that queue has been the priority. Now what's being worked on is those onboarding flows and the process of how those users will come across. And, you know, obviously the wallet is through, the wallet abstraction, but then how do they come across and claim their wallet and get that? You know, we've announced that we're going to give 5 orange to the first million. So then that needs to be a process flow for people to come across and use Orange ID to log in and then claim that wallet. So those flows and those technical back ends and front ends to support that are being built right now, but we are looking and doing all we can to get that out by the end of the year. Yes, the 2.6 and the wallets will be created by the end of the year. The flows for them to coming and the claiming will come shortly after that.
Expected average user transactional footprint for 2026?
Difficult. I mean, currently we're at about 1 million per week. It's actually increased recently. It increased about a week or two before mainnet, and that was driven by our partners. So the partners are increasing their partners and their user base. So that, of course, leads to more transactions through our mainnet. Obviously, as we get more game players, as I mentioned, coming in and playing more games, if we have tens of thousands of players playing games, that's going to drive more transactions. If we're working with these calls and the other partners to get access to those audience. So it's hard to say, but as we bring on more partners, we hope that we intend to grow it from its current 1 million per week. Whether it goes to 5 million per week or 10 million per week, I can't answer that right now, but it will be heading north based on introducing new partners and getting those users that we've mentioned over the line. I think it's also interesting that, we're also looking to provide more opportunity for people to build and the things that they can build. So there was like the Pith announcement yesterday that opens doors, with the price feeds for people to build things like DEXs and DeFi type products and things like that, now they're on mainnet, they can be real products and available. So as more people come and build on Orange and launch those types of products, that of course will drive up the transactions as well. So we're excited to see what the devs will come and the things that they'll build.
Awesome. Next question is something that we've been getting this couple of weeks. So, what is the transaction itself? One purchase, one transaction, or multiple technical read write transactions caused by one purchaser or user interaction?
So, I mean, a transaction is like on any chain. It could be a P2P transaction on Orange Games. It's when people come in and purchase the tickets. So when you could do the ticket purchase, that's one transaction. The millions of gameplay transactions and partner-based transactions that we've seen, that's based on an individual user event. So what that means is that one user, single event. So if it's a gameplay, for instance, it means there's one game played. So if you go and look at the data, if a game's played, then there's data on the chain that would show the country that came from, the game name, and the tournament ID. So that means that individual user's played one game. But then if that individual user, say they, if you go into like Orange Games, for instance, and you play a game, when you go to that game over screen and you click replay, when you click replay, that would be a second event. So each event is that individual gameplay, right? And then, of course, the idea of that is that then that's all tracked so that we can then award the Go 3. Right. And then as that Go 3 is awarded, that gives us an opportunity to open up that partner's traffic to and incentivizes them to come and use other Orange products. Right. So you can think of it like sort of a coalition loyalty program. They complete these events. They get Go 3, they're rewarded. They can then boost their Go 3 by going and looking at a world or going and trying out another app on Vibe Coding List or leaving a comment on Vibe Coding List. And what we're building then is those different events that will take place and they'll all earn Go 3, right? So then that will allow people to level up and get those rewards. Of course, what that also means is we need to bring Go 3 over to mainnet. So that's something that we're looking at now. Go 3 is currently sitting as a testnet token. We want to bring that over to mainnet, but how that will work and all those technicalities is being worked on. So then we'll bring that over. And then of course, now that we're on mainnet, all of those transactions that I mentioned, they're all driving that juice burn that we saw today. So each one of those transactions drives that juice burn and that gas burn too.
All right.
One
And
thing,
next,
sorry, just on that, one thing worth checking out is there is a blog. It's called Rewards Level Up. It came out a few weeks ago. I think it was in like August or September. So you can go check that out. That explains how we've taken rewards and what was Go 3 just on games and how we're rolling it out across the ecosystem, and also explains how the partners can get involved and send their events to the chain as well. So it's worth checking that blog out. It's got a bit more detail.
alrighty. So the next up is tokenomics and financial strategy. When is the transaction volume expected to start bolstering for orange or juice prices?
So the transaction volume. So when is the transaction expected to start bolster? Oh, sorry. So when will the transactions bolster the price? I mean, I can't promise on price, right? I just can't do. I can't promise, and I can't tell. But what we're trying to do is to get the fundamentals right. How the transaction volume works is that like I mentioned, the transaction volume gives us access to an active user base. We then incentivize. That's why we're giving 5 orange and a wallet to that user base to encourage them to come over and take the 5 orange, collect the 5 orange, and then we'll be doing other onboarding techniques to get those to onboard and start playing within the orange ecosystem. So that drives more usage, right? So, but what we need to get is the fundamentals. So increasing the demand, right, of through the utility of the token. So people coming and playing on games and spending orange to play to win orange, and increasing and building the wider audience, right? So that's what we're focused on. We're also looking at bringing the bigger partnerships on, so that then the partnerships, which that adds credibility. It also the collaboration on campaigns exposes us to a wider audience, and we're working with partners who have very large audiences. Pith is an example that we've already announced, and there's ones that are coming up that are as big or even bigger. So that gives us access to a wider audience. More eyeballs on us means more people interested in the project, and in turn the token, right? So that's how we're trying to do that. Also the juice burn drives scarcity, right? As the product becomes more scarce, that should drive up the value as well. And then things like the LP pools. We know that liquidity is super important. I know we had some recent dumping which hurt the price. That was a lot of free tokens that were out in the market from previous staking. So we're very cautious of not getting into a situation where there's too many free tokens out there, but making sure that we instead build that liquidity so that small movements don't jump the price around. So and then of course building the belief from everyone so that everyone hodls and people aren't dumping, and that helps the price. So there's a number of different things that lead to price. We're doing what we can to build those fundamentals and the underlying layer that will ultimately drive the price. But really it's about getting more eyeballs, building more utility, and building a wider audience. And there I think I've gone through some of the ways that we're looking to do that.
Gotcha. All right. Does the team plan on creating LP pools for Orange and Juice on other decks like Curve, Uniswap, Fair Exchange, Pangolin? Personally, I prefer to add LPs to LP pools created by the token teams, then creating my own. Has the team also thought about getting Orange and Juice pairs added to Black Hole? Maybe their incentive programs could benefit Orange.
Yeah. So again, kind of a multi-part question, but So let me just start. LP liquidity is like extremely important, and we're aware of that, right? So we know that liquidity and getting that there is important. So we want to do the LP pools. We need to do the LP pools. So it's going to happen. The team's looking at the various options that are there right now and how we can do that. One of the things is to avoid the a lot of free tokens out in the market that drives the sell pressure. But also, making sure that it's achieving the results and it's for the betterment of the overall project, right? So definitely looking at the different options, looking at the third party, DEX options and those as well. There's nothing to share just yet, but I'll share them, as soon as I can and as soon as I have more information. But all I can say is that yes, it's important. The team knows it's important, and the team's looking at how to best do that so that we can, do it in the best interest of the project. Watch this space, I guess, and we'll share ASAP.
Sure, without a doubt. Alrighty. Okay, last one for the segment that we're going to be touching tonight would be team vision and community initiatives. And the first question is Orange Juiced a legitimate job board by the Orange Web3 team, or is it a community project? If I'm not mistaken, the next web. I think I'm reading this wrong. Whenever there are questions on general chat for dev recruitment, should people refer them to the board? Side question, do you think bug bounties would work better or has a place on Orange Web3 ecosystem?
So actually, Orange Juice is a community project. That's just someone that built that on their own. It's not a centralized, what we call official project. So we are very careful because we can't endorse third party projects, but we like to spotlight those that add value. At the moment, that is the only job board, and so we do see it as helpful. So, happy to, help them out and to try and spotlight them. And yes, I would suggest that we should try and use it and support the creators that are building cool stuff on Orange. That we're rapt that somebody came in and built that, and we want to support that. But I can't endorse it because we don't have control of it, and we're not. It's a third party project. So I hope you understand sort of that fine line that we try and walk there. So, I mean, and as an aggregator, if other third parties come along and want to build those types of tools, or if we notice that there's a gap, then we'll look to bring that in. We do have, on the second part of the question, we do have the official bounties page on Orange Web3. That's actually going through some improvements. It's been a little bit stale at the moment, and we're aware of that. So we are actually driving some improvements on the bounties page, and you will see some updates on that. And that will be for sort of, bounties coming out from the central team and may involve things like bug bounties and stuff like that. So yeah, keep an eye on that page. That's going to be improved, and you'll see some extra bounties going up there. At the moment, that's very much focused around people, that can create memes and videos and things to help promote the project, and that will continue. We'll consider whether bug bounties is a good one to put up there. But I think it's also important to note that's not a job board. I think Orange Juiced is more focused on creators and people looking for jobs, and maybe creators and vibe coders who are looking for people that can help them out with their project. That's more of an Orange Juiced thing. And yeah, we're happy to support them, but it is a third party project.
Alrighty. Second question, has Orange Web3 stretched too thin? We have a token launcher, Worlds, Dev Portal, and Games SDK. Well, that is extremely impressive. I do not know if Orange Web3 has the manpower to market to all these categories.
So I think it's important, we keep saying we're an aggregator, right? So we don't build anything. So even Orange Worlds, that's been, that's supported and built by people from the RFox side. The games is built by the Goama team. The portal that I just mentioned is by the Orange Juice team, and there's more things that are going to launch. The games SDK, that's built by the Goama team. So there's more things that will come through as well. So what we're really focused on is building and the community building and bringing in the strong partnerships, right? So bringing in the strong partnerships to add the tools, things like the Pith partnership, which gives us the oracles, the partnerships now to build the bridges, and to have publishing partners, which we've done through vibe coding, list in games, things like Worlds, Orange ID, which is important for identity. So we've looked to sort of build that foundation layer. but it's not on us to maintain all of those products and market those products. So I think it's important to know that those individual products, they market their own services, right? So, VCL does its own marketing, right? The games does its own marketing. So those partners that come and build, they also want their products to be successful and they market them themselves. So it's not just us, we're the aggregator. We sit in the middle and look to make sure that everything works together and that, we've got the right tools to be able to support the creators. But we are reliant on the third parties who have built those products to market them and also to maintain them and make sure that they're working. So that makes it a bit easier for us because there's other people and there's experts in those areas, right? We're not trying to build everything ourselves. We're relying on experts who already know that. And you'll see more coming as well. There's more stuff that are coming, and we know of builders that are planning to launch now and planning large campaigns, which is awesome because obviously it helps their products, but as they build on Orange, it helps also get attention on Orange as a layer one and Orange as a project and as a tool for creators to be able to plan their go to market. So as they market, that helps the overall project as well. So it's a self supporting loop, and that's the way that it's been designed.
Alrighty, the last one before I take some questions from Discord. Despite all these questions, I remain steadfast on Orange Web 3. It has built a solid foundation and great partnerships and ready to take off. What is your opinion is the greatest strength of the Orange Web 3 team?
Well, actually, I think I just answered it. I think the greatest strength is that we're not reliant on a centralized team, right? I mean, ultimately, we've tried to build an aggregated platform that's dependent on whoever wants to build on it, right? And that I think is even more important now on mainnet. With testnet, people can come along and test out their products and test different things. Now we're on mainnet, people can launch real products, and you've seen ones come through, and you'll continue to see others come through. So I think the strength is in the fact that we've built a foundation, and we've looked to build the rails, but it's really dependent on the creators and the people that build on the network. And then we can focus on more strong partnerships, bringing in people and bringing in better tools and helping out those creators get more reach. So yeah, we're excited. We know that there's some really cool stuff coming and some cool people building some great stuff, and we want to continue supporting that. And ultimately, we want to become less important. It's really about the creators and the cool products that people are building on the rails that we've helped pull together.
Couldn't have said it better myself. All right, I'm going to give you guys a couple of minutes if you want any questions answered. Please just drop them on general chat. We do have one more here that I got. I'm pretty sure that LP pools will happen eventually, but I want to know when. I just want a time frame, not even a straight up date. If there is a delay, just like how there was a delay in mainnet release, I think we deserve to know that. Otherwise, we may not just stick here.
Yep, I think that's very fair and completely understandable. Look, I think it's a hard one. Let me say this. Yes, let me say we're going to aim to have LP pools up by the end of the year. So that's roughly a month from now. But I can't promise. So that's the objective. That's what we're looking to do. But what I can commit is I will come back and tell you guys if that changes, or as soon as I know a date, or if it's going to be delayed, I'll come back and let you guys know. So as soon as I know, you'll know. I totally appreciate that, if you're stacking AVEX, while the price is down and getting ready to stake that, great. And we, of course, want you to get involved once we have those LP pools up. So it's noted. We'll look to get it up ASAP. Let me say by the end of the year as a commitment from my side. And if that's going to change, I'll let you know as soon as I know. And I'll keep pushing, the team and get back to you guys and let you know if there's going to be any changes to that.
Alrighty. I don't seem to have any other questions on my end. I don't think we've gotten any on general chat as well. But I guess from my side, from community side, as usual, we'll be having our events posted up, and you guys can join and participate. It's always great to have you guys over. I think a major part of this year is really getting to know more people through games, for me at least. But I'm looking forward to see more people jump in and get involved. I think there will be a few other events coming up, right? Peel and Phil, I believe so. But once they're ready, as usual, we'll let everybody know.
think there was some questions in the chat here I just noticed. One was about getting listed on new exchanges. So obviously, yes, we want to get you listed on new exchanges. Getting liquidity up, super important, because the more exchanges we have, we get distributed across. The liquidity and the traffic gets distributed across more. So the aim right now is to get that liquidity up, and then as more eyeballs on the project as well, then the discussion with the exchanges changes. Right, they just start listing you as opposed to you needing to chase them. So that is on the cards, but I think there's liquidity issues that we need to address first, which is the first priority. And then the second one is when is the Go3 airdrop scheduled? Good question. I have to come back to you on that. Part of the process is of this claiming the wallet that I mentioned earlier. That process of people getting able to come in and link their Orange ID and then claim the wallet is the same process that we will use for claiming the Go3 airdrops. So what we didn't want to do was just dump a lot of dust and just drop airdrops directly to your wallet, but give people the opportunity to come in, see what tokens they were available to them, and then be able to select those. So that is part of that process. So as that portal and front end and back end is all set up, you'll be able to come in and claim the tokens that are available for airdrop as per the Go3 process. So that's work in progress.
Alrighties. Any last info teaser sneak peeks from you, Peel? I'm just going to ask that because I'm sure a lot of people have it at the back of their mind.
Yeah, obviously, like I mentioned, a few key priorities for us. Bridge, we know is important. LP pools, getting liquidity up. They're the important things right now that we're working on with our partners. Expect some big partner announcements coming over the next month or so. Some exciting discussions going on behind the scenes to onboard that. And then from an event perspective, I think the next one's probably going to be tied around the education element of another Vibe Camp. So we'll let you guys know more once that's scheduled. But more events coming up to support creators as well.
Alrighty. So, yep, I guess that is the end of the AMA. I will, as usual, get the questions listed out and the answers. If you guys have any questions after this, feel free to just drop it in and, we'll try to get back to you, or we'll just list it up for the next AMA if one is scheduled before we head off for Christmas. I just realized Christmas is a month away. So yeah.